Americans are moving overseas. I moved to Portugal. And by the press it's receiving, you would think that everybody else has moved to Portugal as well. So I was a little bit surprised when I went in and looked at the numbers and started to find out where Americans are actually moving around the world as expats. So let's take a look at some of those numbers and see exactly where Americans are moving here in Valley of the Dolly. So where are Americans moving to? When it comes to Europe, let's look at Portugal first. Since I live in Portugal, there's been a lot of press around the golden visa process. And you'll see that in Portugal, there were almost 10,000 golden visas processed in the last 10 years since 2012. So 2012 through 2021, 9,767 visas were processed. And this is according to portugalgoldenvisa.com. And in that, you'll find that over 50% of those golden visas that were issued were for Chinese nationals, followed by Brazil at 11%, and then you have South Africa and Russia at 4%. The United States and the number of golden visa applications within the last 10 years falls within the category of others. It doesn't rank within the top 5. It's grouped inside of that 27% of others. So it was a very small number of golden visas that were issued for American citizens. And right now, they say it's about 6,000 Americans who are living in Portugal right now. And those numbers are actually lower than what you would have found in 1999 or 2007. According to the wiki page for migration into Portugal, you see that in 2007 it was over 8,000 people. So that's, maybe like a third increase over what it is now, which is 6,000. It was over 8,000 then. And even in 1999, it was over 7,000. So there is a difference between what we find in the number of Americans here now versus what had been here historically. And then also, the number of golden visas that you'll see according to this site peaked in 2017. So you see it increasing from 2012 all the way into 2017 where it hits its peak and then it starts to decline. That doesn't mean that those numbers may not increase in 2022, but right now those numbers had peaked in 2017. So if we look at the CEF report coming from the Portuguese government, and this is from the end of 2021, in that report, you'll find at near the last page, it'll give you a listing of all of the countries that have foreign residents living inside of Portugal. And that includes the United States, which is found, I think 3 pages in here, listed under Estados Unidos at 6,885. From there, you can look at the total breakdown. So total foreign nationals living in Portugal, Brazil tops that list at almost 205,000, followed by the United Kingdom at 41,900. Cape Verde is number 3, Italy at almost 31,000 is number 4, India, Romania, Ukraine at 27,000, France, Angola, China at 22,007, at 22,782, Nepal, Guinea, Spain at 18,500, Germany, 18,000, Sao Tome, the Netherlands, Bangladesh, Venezuela, Pakistan, and then the United States is down here at number 20. So it's 6,800, which is a small fraction of the total overall portion of expats, which I think in total it's 700,000, something like that. And then if you want to look at the historical number, you can look at, this is from the wiki page on immigration or legal foreign residents coming to Portugal. And in that you see in 1999, there are almost 8,000 American living in Portugal, and over 8,000 living in Portugal in 2007. So right now there are fewer Americans living in Portugal than there was historically in 1999 or 2007. So if they're not moving to Portugal, like me, then where exactly are they moving to? Well, we find that 2/3 of American expats who are moving to Europe, according to World Atlas, are moving to 4 countries. And they are Germany, France, Italy, and the United Kingdom. And that makes up 2/3 of the 800,000 expats that are moving over. And that includes for job opportunities, for retirement, for family reunification, whatever those reasons are, the expats are moving predominantly to those 4 countries, which are large countries with large metropolitan areas, much bigger than Lisbon. And outside of that, let's look at vacationers expected in 2022. Allianz Partners had done a study, and they expected a 600% increase in the number of vacationers coming to Europe this summer. And this was published on the Photors.com site, and they're saying a 600% increase. And if you look at the top destinations, London being number 1, Paris being number 2, Edinburgh falling in there, Rome falling in there above Lisbon, which comes in at number 7. So maybe later in the fall or early next year, when the actual results come back and we see how many people really came to those destinations, let's see how many people actually came to Lisbon. People come to Lisbon because they may have already been to Paris, they may have already been to Rome or London, and they're looking for a location that has incredible old world charm, great food, warm people, and an inviting destination with lots of variety and experiences that can be had in Lisbon. And a population that will speak English as a second language as well, so there's that flexibility where people feel more relaxed and comfortable knowing that they will be able to communicate with people when they're in a restaurant, when they're in an Uber or a taxi, etc., when they're getting around. But beyond Europe, where are American expats moving to? And some of those numbers were really interesting. 1.5 million, according to World Atlas, are going to India, closely followed by the Philippines, predominantly for 2 reasons. One, they were of ancestry from India or the Philippines, and they were moving back as native citizens, or they worked for multinationals and were located inside of those countries. So I thought both of those were really quite interesting. So 1.5 million, that would be 800,000, almost 800,000 in India, and almost 700,000 in the Philippines alone. And behind that, you found Israel as being another big American expats, almost 200,000 American expats in Israel, according to World Atlas. So the numbers are really interesting and kind of surprising. Israel is a relatively small country. And beyond that, you see some other destinations. So we've talked about locations in Asia, we've talked about locations in Europe. We now find that beyond the Pacific and the Atlantic, a lot of American expats stick closer to home. The second destination for American expats is Canada. And people choose Canada because it has lots of job opportunities, it has a great standard of living, the cost of living is strong compared to what it is in the United States, great health care, and it has a porous border with the United States, so you can get in your car and you can drive to Canada, you can come back. They're connected, it's very easy to move to. And number 1 on the list is Mexico. And that might have seemed obvious, but at the same time, there were some interesting numbers that came out of that too. According to World Atlas, 400,000 Americans call the Mexico City metropolitan area home. That is the largest concentration of American expats in any single metropolitan area outside of the United States. And a lot of the people who have moved to Mexico from the United States had ancestry originating in Mexico, so they may have from their parents or from themselves who had gained citizenship in the United States and then moved back, or they may be coming back to Mexico to work, or coming to retire as well. So you see that huge population going to Mexico of American expats. And they choose Mexico City, 400,000, and then beautiful destinations along the Pacific Ocean and along the Gulf of Mexico. And Mexico makes a lot of sense. You have golden weather, you have really, really fascinating European-inspired architecture that you find inside of Mexico City. You also have tremendous food and warm people. So Mexico makes a lot of sense for destination. And again, like Canada, you're connected by land locations and border crossings, so you can go to and from relatively easily, making Mexico, followed by Canada, the number 1 and 2 destinations above that of Asia and then Europe for destinations. Thanks again. Bye now.